Welcome back to Game Time, everybody. I'm your host, John Eads. We got another episode going for you today, and we made it. It's finally here. LSU football game week. The Tigers traveling to Orlando later this week to take on Florida State in a top 10 battle on Sunday. We're hoping the game actually happens. There's some weather concerns, obviously, and our thoughts and prayers are with the people in the state of Florida right now. Hopefully that storm isn't too much of a problem for the folks there. But if the game does happen, it's going to be a great one. Heard Brian Kelly speak yesterday, just listing so many playmakers on both teams, on both sides of the ball, that really just individually will be super fun to watch. And, of course, we're excited to continue to talk about it and cover it. We will be in Orlando, actually leaving tomorrow, hopefully. Again, fingers crossed there, kind of in flux. And we'll have coverage from Thursday all the way to Sunday. With the Game Time show, we'll have a special episode from there, myself, and hopefully Jacques Doucet. We're trying to steal Jacques away and get him on the show here. He's a busy man these days. And really just full preview mode. All right, obviously we got to talk about the Saints, too. They got their first game coming up in a couple weeks. Finished out preseason. They're making final roster cuts today, and they've already had some big news release, so we're going to discuss all of that. But really, it's LSU heavy because we haven't talked college football in a long time. We haven't seen college football games played in a long time, especially not LSU. They're finally back this week after a long time coming. Like the videos, subscribe to the channel as well. Check out our content on WAFB.com/gametime. Shout out Heather and the marketing staff for the new banner there. It looks awesome. And find us on YouTube, WAFB. We got a whole playlist. So we do the full episodes and then the 5-minute cut-ups as well. So if you want to just watch that way, you can watch that way. Follow my socials as well. X at John Eads WAFB. That's Twitter, by the way, if you don't know. And then Instagram, just John Eads TV. Also on Facebook, too, if you want. Look my name up, you'll find me on there. All right, we got 3 LSU topics, then we'll finish up with the Saints. Let's get into topic number 1. So, top 10 battle, LSU, FSU. If it's anything like it was last year, it'll be a banger. Of course, the blocked PAT, LSU loses after storming back and nearly winning the game. I want to dive really deep into this matchup and give you things to look out for, things to expect from FSU and from LSU. Let's start with Florida State. The topic is, how can Florida State expose LSU? What is one, maybe 2 facets of the game that the Seminoles have been talking about for months, they've been watching on film, and is already definitely scripted on their game plan about how they're going to attack and they hope beat LSU? It's through the secondary. You guys know, I mean, the position group with the biggest question marks this offseason was the secondary. Who's starting at safety? Who's starting at corner? It's really been more so about corner, especially with the off-the-field situations like Denver Harris and guys leaving the team, guys transferring in. Right now, it looks like LSU's relying on 2 transfers to start at cornerback, Zy Alexander from Southeastern Louisiana, and then Deuce Chestnut from Syracuse. And, you know, LSU's gone into the portal before and grabbed some really good talents, but one's coming from the FCS and the other's coming from the ACC. No disrespect to either of those venues of football, but the SEC is just different, and usually you like to have a guy in the defense that knows the system, has played at the speed of the conference, and kind of just understands things a little bit finer. And not to say that Alexander and Chestnut don't, we just don't know yet. We can only go to practice for a little bit amount of time. We haven't seen them play in an LSU uniform in a game yet against another opponent, so game 1 should tell us a lot, but those are things we just don't know. What we do know is that Florida State can pass the football. 28th in the country last year in passing yards per game, well over 200. And in the LSU game specifically last year, Jordan Travis had one of his best games of the season. He's FSU starting quarterback, by the way. 20 of 33 passing, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both deep balls, both beautiful throws to Pokey Wilson, who played receiver for the Seminoles last year. Not there anymore, but doesn't matter. 40-plus yard passes, one-on-one coverage to the end zone that Wilson caught. That is how Florida State attacked LSU defensively last year, and it's basically the same team this year. And they had success last year. They won the game, and they put up 24 points. Not a lot, but respectable, especially against an LSU defense of the caliber it was last year and the caliber it should be this year. So I think they're going to try to move the football down the field and expose those one-on-one matchups again this year. That's something that Florida State likes to do offensively. You think football is so complicated? There's all these formations and route concepts and all these different base defenses. You don't even know half of these things. I've been watching football for years. I don't know half of these things. But Florida State really makes it simple. If a wide receiver is one-on-one with a cornerback on the far side of the field, near side of the field, and they got space to operate, Jordan Travis will take the football, pass it that way, and let his wide receiver make a play. So Florida State will force these cornerbacks, these defensive backs of LSU, to make one-on-one tackles in space. And again, Deuce Chestnut played at Syracuse, played against this same Florida State team last year. And one play sticks in the back of my head. I got to talk about it on the radio during the game. Pass goes out to Johnny Wilson, 6'7" receiver for Florida State. Breaks a Chestnut tackle, 20 yards later is in the end zone. Simple. One missed tackle, six points. Add the PAT, 7 points. That's how simple it can be. So Florida State's going to force LSU to be really solid, not only one-on-one in coverage, but making tackles in the open field. And not to mention, just endless amount of topics with this Seminoles offense. Their offensive line, we talked about this last episode, is really good. Top 3 in the country, according to Phil Steele. All 5 starters back. Very experienced starters, too. I'm talking about over 200 career starts between the 5 guys in the starting lineup and then some of the depth guys they got as well. So they've played pretty much as much football as you can as a college player. So I say that because it means Jordan Travis is going to have time to sit in the pocket and make throws. There's a reason why this offensive line is top 3, because they can pass protect, they can run block, and just give the skill players opportunities to make plays. What FSU also likes to do is use the run game to set up the pass. When I think about this Florida State offense, it's as balanced as a level. Over 200 yards running per game, projected this year. That's what they did last year too. And then almost 300 passing. So you can't really turn them one-dimensional. They like to run the ball and pass the ball, set up the run with the pass, set up the pass with the run. So that's a difficult offense to game plan for. They're supposed to score 39 points per game this year, according to Phil Steele, who's one of the biggest college football insiders, by the way. And then the last thing I want to say is that Jordan Travis has a very unique ability, kind of like Jaden Daniels, to scramble and extend plays. He's not a guy that's going to sit in the pocket and make the throws on you, but he is a guy that will roll out, give his offensive guys an extra 5-6 seconds to come open on their routes and hit him. So Harold Perkins, LSU's middle linebacker, he's got to have the game of his life. Not only does he need to spy the quarterback, he's got to watch tight ends for tight end screens. He's got to cover guys down the field, have depth awareness, and sit back and stop those crossing routes. He's really just got to keep his eyes locked in with Jordan Travis. Where he goes, you go. You're on him. That's what Harold Perkins needs to do, because Travis can really cause some damage if he gets out of the pocket, escapes pressure, and is given time to either run or pass. So let's circle back and tie a bow on this. Biggest question mark for LSU is the secondary. FSU attacked said secondary last year. You might argue that the secondary is a little bit worse this year for LSU, and Florida State brings back pretty much everybody from last year's team. So if LSU is going to get exposed in this game by FSU, if I'm a Florida State coach, I'm attacking that secondary. That's the one weak point of this defense where I think you are confident you can move the football with the receivers you have and the corners that LSU doesn't really have from a proven standpoint. So guys like Sage Ryan, who's supposed to see time at nickel and corner now apparently, the redshirt sophomore, former 5-star, he's going to have to step up. Ashton Stamps, the true freshman who we've talked about, he's going to have to step up. And then, of course, Alexander, Chestnut, they've got to play big games. And then maybe Denver Harris factors in there a little bit as well, the Texas A&M transfer. So that's one thing that I'm very nervous about for LSU in this game, is that downfield passing of FSU and really just the secondary as a whole on the LSU side of things. That's one place, I think, where when you see the final score and we look back on this game when it's all said and done on Sunday, that might be one of the biggest reasons why Florida State wins, if they win the game. So let's flip it over to the other side. Turn the tables, if you will. How can LSU expose FSU? Okay? And this was pretty tough for me to pinpoint one individual thing, because I kind of struggled to find things that FSU could be exposed with, because this is a really solid football team. So many starters back on offense and defense. But I watched the film from last year's game. What's the best way to kind of learn about what a team could do against a team? Watch the last game they played. And luckily it was last year. And these teams are both pretty similar with the guys they bring back and the schemes they run and the coaches that are back and whatnot. So I've got two big ways that LSU can attack this Florida State defense and potentially expose this Florida State defense. The first, defense and the offense. The first is pressure. You've got to get pressure on Jordan Travis if you're LSU. B.J. Ojulari did that a lot last year. His pursuit ability was next to none. Maybe the initial blitz doesn't get there, but Ojulari's fighting, clawing, finding a way to get to Travis, who's scrambling around looking for someone to pass to or some place to run. You've got to force Travis out of the pocket. But that doesn't mean anything if you don't have somebody to take care of Travis, because that's just step one, getting him out of the pocket. Step two is actually getting to him. And that's where you need a guy like Harold Perkins, with the speed he has at the linebacker position, to be right there and ready to pounce on that opportunity to force Travis into a bad throw, a throwaway, or just sack him altogether. Those two things together must be done. You can't have one or the other. There were so many downs in that game last year where LSU didn't have a spy. I'm like, what are we doing here? It's a dual-threat quarterback. 3rd and 10, he's just going to take off and get 11 with his legs. Or he's going to roll out and find a receiver open for 12 yards on a crossing route. And maybe it wasn't initially open, but as I just alluded to, it will be open because Travis extends plays. So you need to have your front four get pressure. Not having Mason Smith hurts. Apparently he was going to be questionable anyway. I think this LSU team can get that pressure. Ovia Gufu off the edge. Makai Wingo on the inside. Deshaun Womack at the jack position. Savion Jones at the jack position. Swinson, the Oregon transfer, at that jack position. Omar Speights, Harold Perkins too, of course. And, Major Burns is pretty good blitzing from the safety spot. Maybe the corners can get involved as well. Chestnut's got some experience blitzing from the corner spot. So this team can get pressure on Florida State. It's a great offensive line, but it's a numbers game. You send 7 for 5, you're going to get pressure. That's what they need to do. It is difficult because you watch film on Jordan Travis, the guy makes quick decisions. I'm talking like this. Snap, boom, snap, boom. Like he gets the ball out in 1 or 2 seconds. He makes one read off a linebacker, and he'll just slot it right into his receiver. So, that's just tough to defend. But he's also not a guy where if Travis doesn't have his first read, he's not going to sit there and go 2, 3, 4. No, he's going to go 1, maybe 2, and then he's going to look to scramble. That's the kind of quarterback he is. That's why when you look up draft boards for quarterbacks, Jordan Travis is nowhere in the top 10, maybe not even the top 15. Great college quarterback, great athlete, but he's essentially Johnny Manziel, but a little bit better, and obviously he's got a little bit better mental makeup as well, obviously. So he's not a guy, the point here is, that will beat you with his arm. He made some good throws in last year's game. He threw up some balls, and Pokey Wilson made some plays, so a one-hand catch and nice one-on-one catch. But he's not a guy that's going to sit in the pocket, go through his progressions, and just destroy you with his arm. He'll make a read or two, and if those aren't there, he's looking to run. And if you can contain Jordan Travis and his legs and maybe use that against him, you're looking good if you're LSU's defense. So those linebackers have to play well. The D-ends, the D-line, they've got to get some pressure. And I'm not sure that FSU sees many defensive lines like the one LSU has, maybe not even the front 7. Easily not the caliber of linebackers that LSU has. Omar Speights, Harold Perkins, the list goes on and on. ACC doesn't have those kind of defenses. Maybe Clemson, but that's probably it. All right, flip it over to the offensive side. How can LSU attack this FSU defense? Slow in the first half last year, was 7-3 at halftime. Okay. But 3 touchdowns in the second half, and you lose by 1 point. They came storming back. How did they do it? A couple different ways. They used their athletes to their advantage. Malik Neighbors, put him in motion. Kayshawn Boutte, they put him in motion. Drive routes, drag routes, crossing routes. Because these linebackers for Florida State were so concerned and hyper-focused on Jaden Daniels' legs, they would literally just give them this assignment. Stand here, watch Daniels, don't worry about anything behind you. And what LSU did was run receivers right behind those linebackers who are like this. They don't know what's going on. They're just looking at the quarterback. So that's what they've got to do this year. Get Malik Neighbors open. Use his speed. Aaron Anderson, perhaps. That's a name that's popped up a lot. He's going to be the punt returner. Put him out there in the slot, too. You get him the ball in open space. He's got a couple yards to work with. Good situation. And then Mason Taylor. Guy's an All-American tight end for a reason. One-on-one against a linebacker, That's a mismatch. Expose that. Have him on plays, block at the beginning, act like he's blocking, and then boom, he's pushing him out of the way. He's out on a route. He's wide open. Tight end delay routes all day long. One-on-one with linebackers. Can't cover. He's a great athlete. So use Mason Taylor as much as you can. I don't think these Florida State linebackers can cover that well. They're great against the run, not so much against the pass. And their nickel corners as well were kind of weak last year. I mean, Dre Jenkins had the game, well, should have been the game-tying touchdown, exposed the nickel corner. I mean, you didn't hear much from Booty or Neighbors, really, because they got the top two corners on FSU's defense last year. But guys like Kyron Lacey, Jenkins, Brian Thomas, they were afforded the luxury to make plays against cornerbacks 3, 4, and 5 and the nickel guys. So attack the nickels, too. I think that'd be a good way to go. And then, of course, you got Daniels with his legs. So if Taylor's making plays, he's going to get more attention. Neighbors will get a lot of attention. And the safeties will start to hyper-focus on those guys. Forget about Daniels, and boom, 30-yard run for a touchdown. So attack the middle and use your playmakers to the best of their abilities. That's how you'll beat this Florida State defense. So those are two ways that I think LSU can attack Florida State and successfully. Get pressure on that offense and Jordan Travis, force him to make some bad decisions, and then attack that defense over the middle and with your speed and quickness.
More LSU topic, a series you guys have enjoyed. It's Freshman Familiarity, Part 5. And today, we're going with Kaleb Jackson. His name has been brought up recently, maybe to the surprise of many. I mean, you read any preview article on this guy, they're like, he probably won't see the field. And I don't blame those people for saying that because he plays running back. We've talked about it before. LSU's got a whole stack drawer already of running backs. You're not going to go to your local grocery store and grab another bag of chips when you already got 4 in the stack drawer, right? I mean, it's just, maybe some of you will, but I mean, it's got this overkill at that point. But Jackson's the type of talent, 4-star in last year's class, named to 247 Sports' Freaks list. What that is like the must-watch high school players. He was one of those guys. He's found a way to carve out a role for himself to get himself on the field. And he's done it at kick returner. Brian Kelly said he'll be the off-kick returner, so he's going to be on the field, and that means they're not going to redshirt him. So now you got a 4-star running back who's very motivated, clearly is athletic and skillful enough to see the field as a freshman, and trusted enough to return kickoffs. That's a big responsibility. When you think about the struggles that LSU had last year in special teams, punt return fumbles, kick return fumbles, even that Tennessee game. It's a big responsibility, and a mistake there could really impact a game. I mean, Tennessee blew out LSU last year, and the game started with a kick return fumble. Not a good way to start. So Jackson might see some time at running back too, because you're not redshirting him. He's going to return kickoffs all year long as he doesn't get injured. Maybe he'll see the occasional carry or two in games where LSU is in control, or maybe he's just that dude. You got to put him in the game. I mean, there's been some really good reports on what Jackson has done in fall camp throughout the summer in practice. Like, apparently he's been flashing his abilities every day, touchdown runs, breaking tackles. So all good things you like to hear. And again, clearly he's just too good not to have on the field this year as a freshman. With 5 guys in the running back room for LSU right now that I think could start on most teams in America. There's like 5 of them. So add him into the fold, and he's got a big responsibility, but he certainly can handle it. Again, 4-star from right down the road at Liberty Magnet High School. I was there the other day. Shout out Coach Lindsay and everybody over there. 6 foot, 225, big build, but he's fast too. Was a track guy in high school, sub 11 second 100 meter. And really should just help out this special teams unit for LSU, which was just awful last year. Ranked 117 out of 131 FBS teams. Those are Phil Steele's rankings. Love Phil Steele. I trust him with my life, his numbers, clearly. That's not good. That's towards the bottom. And it's because they got nothing for the punt return game. They averaged 3 yards per punt return, which is bad. You want to be up towards 9 or 10. It was so bad, they were one of the worst 7 punt return teams in college football. LSU doesn't want to be talked about as bottom 7 in anything. And then kick returns, they only had 20 yards per kick return. And this new era of college football, the kick return isn't that important because you can fair catch it and just take to the 25. But when you do take it out, you want to make some plays. So that return average you hope is up at 25, 26, maybe 30 this year. Ideally. Maybe Jackson will have something to do with that. Above all, just don't make mistakes. 3 games last year stick in my head for special teams mistakes. Florida State, the opener, they had a punt return fumble. Mississippi State, they had another fumble in special teams. And then Tennessee, they had a lot of special teams problems. But they had a kickoff return fumble in that game, as I already mentioned. And, the kicking game wasn't great. And the punting game was pretty good, but could definitely improve. So, if you could solidify the return game stuff, that helps you out a lot already. Limit those mistakes. Maybe you get a better field position. Maybe a touchdown here and there, too. So, Kaleb Jackson and Nate Tano, you'll see him game 1 against Florida State on the kick return. And perhaps in the running back room as well. And, I mean, forget what he does this year. This guy's talented. Over 2,000 yards and 29 touchdowns his junior year in high school. Here's this. At the beginning of his junior year, 23 carries, over 500 yards. He needed to touch the ball just 23 times to go over 500 yards. That's just insane. And he had 12 touchdowns too. Those are video game numbers. Not even video game numbers. I play video games. I play the college football video game. I have never had a running back come close to those numbers. That is just out of this world from Kaleb Jackson. So, a guy definitely to know this year and the next couple of years for LSU. Could be the starting running back very soon. So, Kaleb Jackson, know the name. All right, we'll round it out with some Saints. I drafted my fantasy team a couple days ago and took a chance on Michael Thomas there. So you guys can let me know if that was a good or a bad decision. I'd be curious. It's nice. You cover this team. You kind of get a little bit of inside intel. All reports have been good on Thomas. That's kind of why I threw him a bone there and decided to bring him in. But anyways, final roster cuts today for New Orleans. They got to slim their roster down to 53 guys, which means there's at least 20 cuts from preseason. Hard decisions in some respects. But today, as we're recording this here on Tuesday, there's already been some really big decisions made. Let's just go through a couple of them. The biggest one, really, that caught my eye was Jalen Smith getting cut, the linebacker, who we devoted 6 minutes of time solely to on this show a week ago as the answer at linebacker 3. I was like, what? Why did you bring him in then? And he was great too. Smith, former high-round pick for Dallas, all-pro player. Played well in preseason. Like I said, he's a guy that turned heads. He looked like a starting caliber linebacker. I know it was against, maybe some backups and guys trying to make a roster other places in preseason, but still, all you can do is play the guy that's across from you, and Smith was dominating out there. So that was confusing. Now, you're looking at Zach Bond, I guess, and Fernie Orgy, who's a rookie. We haven't heard his name yet in terms of if he's cut or being retained, so we'll see. And Smith still can play for New Orleans, apparently it's being reported. They just released him, so they could still bring him back if nobody else picks him up. But for now, he's not on the team, which is just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not there every day. I'm not the head coach, obviously. I'm just a guy that watches what I can watch and make takes based off of that. He looked like a surefire player to me. So, Jalen Smith kind of perplexed me a little bit, that decision. But we'll see. Maybe they'll bring him back. And then Bradley Roby as well. Top slot corner on this New Orleans team. The Saints brought him in and gave away a third-round pick in 2022 to get him. And 1 year later, he's gone. So that was kind of a waste. I mean, he got injured last season in Week 7. Didn't play much in preseason. And when players don't play much in preseason and they started the year before, you're like, saving it for the regular season. But I guess that's not the case. So that was a little confusing to me, too. You didn't get, any value out of that third-round pick at all. There was a conditional 6th round, so maybe they get that back. But the third round's gone. You're not getting that back. And third-round picks are, you want those still. It's not a 6th or 7th round pick. Those are nice, too. I mean, A.T. Perry was a 6th round pick. He's going to make the team every season. So you got no value out of that. Weird. You do free up some cap space. Roby's contract was for $4 million, but from what I understand, it didn't seem like New Orleans was in much cap space. HELL anyways. So that was strange. But what that does tell me is that they believe in Alontae Taylor, the second-year player, who's had an up-and-down career so far. Finished the regular season really well last year. But in preseason, had some moments where you're like, maybe he should not be making the team. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think a veteran like Roby is just great to have on the team and in the room to teach guys like Taylor and just play. So that was strange. But again, another guy that they could bring back because they released him. So, TBD. Stay tuned. Other moves, Nick Anderson waived at linebacker, the Tulane product. So that was a little disheartening. He played well in preseason, but, only 53 guys can make the team. So it's tough to make that cut. A few other things. Will Lutz traded Denver. And Blake Grupe stays here in New Orleans, the rookie out of Notre Dame. That was a hot topic the past couple of weeks. Would they keep the rookie, get rid of Lutz, but get a draft pick for him? I haven't heard what they're getting in return for Lutz just yet. I assume it's a draft pick, 4th, 5th round maybe. So congrats to Lutz on a great career here in New Orleans. Great kicker. And he should do well out in Denver. And now it's Grupe's time to shine. Pretty high praise there for a rookie, coming in, just kicking him straight and proving to the coach that he can handle the job. And it saves his team some money and his contract to be cheap. And you get some draft capital back in return. So, kind of a win-win-win. Wow. Win-win there if you ask me. All right, then I mentioned A.T. Perry. He's going to make the team. He had an unreal preseason. I knew he would. Guy's a dog. So watch out for A.T. Perry in the receiver room this year. Finally, curious to know what happens at tight end. Do you keep Jimmy Graham? Do you get rid of Lucas Kroll, who's played well in preseason, 10 catches, 136 yards? Juwan Johnson's your top guy, but you got to have 2 or 3, I think. And they had a lot of tight ends on the roster this preseason. Jesse James, like 3 other guys that didn't play a whole lot. Kroll. It seems like Kroll's not going to make the team. So I guess you're keeping Jimmy Graham. We'll see. I mean, he had a touchdown. He's looked good, but he's also an older dude, and you're not sure about sustainability during the season. So, also have Taysom Hill, obviously, you can slide in there at tight end. So, that'll be interesting if they keep Jimmy and get rid of Lucas Kroll, who I think is worthy of making the roster. So, stay tuned on all that. Only really the beginning here on this Tuesday of what we expect to hear. And there could be more moves coming in the future, like bringing back Jalen Smith, bringing back Bradley Roby. So, we'll see. But today is the final day for cuts and stuff like that. So the roster will be finalized today. Those are some of the things that have already happened, all leading up to the regular season now, not the preseason anymore. Coming up in just a few weeks, I'm really excited. I wish we didn't have this week of lull time. I want the fantasy season to start. I want B season to start, but we're going to have to wait a week and a half or so. But in the meantime, we got LSU football. So, all right, that'll wrap up the episode. Good one today. Really focusing all of our attention on Florida State. Game's coming up soon. I'm really excited. It's going to be a great game. I don't think LSU's going to win. I told you guys that last week, but it could be like last year where it comes down to a finger. That's how far, or not far apart, but that's the distance between these two teams. Like that. Should be a great game. And again, we'll have coverage from Florida. So follow my socials at John Eads WAFB on X, John Eads TV on Instagram. Like the video, sub to the channel. Find us, WAFB.com/GameTime, WAFB on YouTube. We got a playlist for you guys. There goes the TV. That's the cue for me to get out. So thanks for watching. Catch you all next time.